going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right?
Very.
So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Oregon is headed to the Super Regional. Big Ten champions, your Oregon Ducks.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It is a Monday inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you as we will break down the weekend in Oregon athletics. A lot is starting to go on around the athletic department as the spring sports get ushered in. We're getting back into crossover season. Really, this weekend was the first weekend where a few sports were in action at the same time. Next weekend will get even crazier, and 2 weekends from now, my goodness, watch out, because everything is going to be rocking and rolling. We'll break down where the Ducks stand as a few of the sports that started over the weekend are still in action, like women's golf. We'll touch on them and where they are sitting in the standings as they go through their first tournament of the spring season. As we speak, they are on the course. We will also break down what was a weekend in basketball for both Oregon men's and women's. The Ducks were at home on the men's side of things, on the road for the women's side of things. Didn't go to plan the way that Oregon wanted it to on Sunday, and we will break down a little bit more as we look forward towards the weekend that will be for the Ducks and the week ahead for Oregon. And first, a programming note here on the Oregon Sports Network is Wednesday, we will have our Oregon Football Signing Day show here in studio. We'll have coaches breaking down the new class, the brand new Ducks. That will be here in the Country Financial Studio at 9:30 in the morning on Wednesday. Make sure you're tapped in to Oregon football social channels, the Go Ducks social channels. We'll have more information on all of that. But Wednesday morning, we'll have coaches in here breaking down the players for the signing class for Oregon football as it is now completed. And we move forward into the 2025 Oregon football year. Right now, we're still focused on basketball season, and it did not go the way that Oregon was hoping it would go. At Matthew Knight Arena last night against Nebraska, Oregon dropped that game 77-71 against the Cornhuskers in a game in which Dana Altman will tell you, Oregon, they just didn't play hard enough. They didn't play as hard as their opponent, and it happened from the jump. It happened immediately in this ballgame. Oregon got down 8 early and then pulled it back, but couldn't quite get even or take the lead, and then all of a sudden it was a 15-point game. Ducks down 32-17 early in the ballgame with about 4 minutes left in the first half, and you're looking up saying, uh-oh, it's not the way that things were supposed to go. Then it looked like Oregon got some life. Closed the half, 11-0 run before Nebraska makes a shot. It's a 3-point game at the break. You think, if Oregon can carry that momentum that they got going into the half, into the second half, it's a real opportunity for the Ducks to take over the momentum of this game. Well, in the second half, Nebraska, they came out with a similar start to the half than they did in the first period. And Oregon didn't have an answer. The Ducks just couldn't break that 6-point barrier that it felt like Nebraska had the lead. It would ebb to 6. It's a game of runs. Oregon couldn't go on the run to get it past 6 until about 2 minutes left in the game. And by that point, it was too much. Nebraska had too big of a lead. And, well, ultimately, felt like the whole game, that 6-point barrier was the barrier. And the Ducks lost 77-71. It was a 6-point game. It was not the game that Oregon was looking for. The Ducks have now lost 3 in a row on the men's basketball side of things. Dana Altman, he didn't mince words. It was an Oregon team that got outworked yesterday at Matthew Knight Arena. It was a Ducks team that didn't play as hard as their opponents. Dana Altman breaking down what was a 77-71 loss at Matthew Nutt Arena last night.
Well, being 22 of 28 from 2 is hard to do.
Absolutely. No, they beat us off the dribble. Our rim protection, Nate didn't have a good game for him. He didn't protect the rim. Didn't move very well. Supreme did a little better job, but still had trouble getting over. They drove it by us all night. They simply played harder than us. There's no other explanation. Their 15-point lead in the first half, they were flying around defensively, connected on the defensive end. Our ball movement was not good. We missed a lot of easy shots. Our guys were tight. They knew how bad we needed this game, and we really struggled offensively there to get going. Just had a lot of good looks, just didn't finish anything around the basket, and obviously didn't shoot the three well again. No, just really disappointed. But the thing I'm most disappointed in is I just thought they outworked us, especially in the first half. When they took that 15-point lead, they were just playing, flying around. They were more connected than we were, and that's really disappointing.
Just missing a vocal voice to kind of fix that in the in the team huddle right now.
Oh, our leadership, they're all kind of walking on eggshells. There's nobody that's really consistently played well. Nate had until the last 3 games. Everybody's been kind of up and down. So none of them are walking around like they own the place. They've all been a little inconsistent, and I think that keeps any of them from being real vocal. So we don't have that, to answer your question. But I think that's kind of typical of today's players. They don't get on each other. I don't know if it's they don't want the accountability themselves, or if it's just today, everybody gets a ribbon and everything, and they don't want to get after each other. And so I'm the bad guy all the time, barking at them. And, that's one thing they can all collectively say, that they don't like me barking at them. But, again, I was hoping that, we would be a little smoother offensively. Our execution wasn't very good. We get out-rebounded, which is always a bad factor for us. But, again, that's part of them. I thought, again, playing harder than we did that first half.
Do you think that tightness that you were talking about, did that extend to the three-point line? It seemed like maybe guys are thinking for a second before taking shots or passing up, maybe overloads.
Well, if you look at our percentages, we got to be careful with our threes. I mean, we still took 20. Jackson was 3 for 8. Keyshawn, who's at 40-some%, goes 0 for 5. So I thought, we had a couple guys that should be taking them. I wanted TJ taking the ball at the basket. He obviously got in foul trouble. He was 4 for 9. Got to the free throw line, 5 for 6, 6 boards, 4 steals. I thought, he did okay. His last 3 games, it's just a matter of numbers. I want him to be aggressive, but they still got to be smart. And I think 20 is a good number for us. We just needed Key to knock a couple down because of his percentages. But, if you look at TJ's percentages, he's better. In the last 3 games, he's 14 for 18 driving the ball, and he's 10 for 11. And not counting this game, the previous 3 games. And he's 10 for 11 from the free throw line, which all those were driving the ball at the basket. He's 3 for 15 from 3. Okay, so again, I'm just being realistic with the guys. You're open for a reason. But boy, when he drives it at the basket, he's tough, and he can make some plays for guys. So he had 3 assists, and they were all on drives. So I thought he played to his strengths, got in a little foul trouble, hurt us. Again, looking at the plus minus, I got to take a hit. I should add Supreme out there a lot more. whatever the reason, Nate's plus minus, I kept waiting for Nate to get going a little bit, but he was a little flat tonight. Like I said, he'd carried us. I want to make sure everybody understands. He carried us through a bunch of ball games. His rim protection, what he was doing, we need him to block shots. We need him to take care of the middle. He just, for whatever reason, wasn't as active tonight as he's been. And so I'm not throwing it on Nate. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying when we were winning, it was because he was protecting that rim. And even if we did get beat, he was protecting it. They doubled him a lot tonight. So, offensively, he didn't get many shots as normal. But we need him to be a defensive force.
More than a month out from the conference tournament, you're 2 games out of the top 4 and 2 games out of the bottom 4. Do you have any sense of where you might be in 5 or 6 weeks?
We're in a tough stretch here because we're going every 2 days. So we're going to have to battle through it. But we've got 5 on the road and 4 at home left. And you're right, everybody's kind of bundled up there other than, at Michigan State. And, so it's just whoever plays well in February. We've traditionally played well in February, but this team's going to have to figure it out on theirs.
Look, the first start of the year when playing really well until now, where's disconnect? What happened that's kind of prevented you guys from playing like you were when you were in the top 10?
Oh, if I knew that, we could get things straightened out really quick. I thought our energy level was better. Our ball movement was better. But, we've been barking at them about those things, for a long time. And we haven't made the progress that we needed to make offensively or defensively. And we're kind of in a rut now, where we just, shots don't go in and our energy level goes down. And but to answer your question, I haven't gotten them better. We're in this thing together. I have not gotten them better. And our ball movement's not what it should be. Our connection on the defensive end, talking, is not what it should be. So I've got to take my share of the responsibility because the execution's on me. The connection defensively is on me. And for whatever reason, we haven't made the progress that we needed to make.
How much of the defensive end is, whether it be communication or to individual execution, because of these last 3 games, Minnesota's big is the guy to game plan for it, he goes off. You harped on UCLA shooting threes, they all go off. Tonight, their 2 top guys go off.
Right.
So I'm sure that's at the top of the scouting report, and all 3 losses, their best guys all have big nights. What's not happening? Is it individual execution? Is it zone?
Well, it's taking pride in being a defensive stopper. We had trouble doing it. Part of it, those guys got to the rim. Gary got to the rim. Williams got to the rim, and we didn't have that rim protection. Garcia, got to the rim. No, we're not connected defensively, and all 3 teams shot over 50% on us. So we had a stretch there where our defense numbers were decent. But if you look at January and some of the analytic stuff, our January wasn't very good, and we started the same way here in February.
How much of a stretch like this do you think is psychological? Did the early season success and the high rankings affect, maybe create a false sense of security or confidence?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's, we haven't made the progress, so possibly. There's a fine line. There's a fine line with being aggressive and being smart. Fine line and, hitting a shot, missing one, and what it does to you. So it could have slowed our progress. People patting everybody on the back, but for whatever reason, again, that's on me. Our execution is not what it should be. Our progress defensively, our connection defensively, is not what it should be. us getting out rebounded, really disappointed. And nothing against Nebraska, but in the conference, they haven't been a good rebounding team, and they out-rebounded us. So, those are all things that I share in the responsibility with the team. And we're just not getting those things done.
What do you know of the Michigans, and other than their combined 21-0 at home, what stands out?
Well, they have been very good at home, both teams. We're going to have to play our tails off to give ourselves an opportunity. And like I said, we're in a tough part of the schedule, 4 of 5 on the road. This was our only home game. And we got to jump on a plane first thing Tuesday and get ready to play Wednesday night, and then come back Saturday and play again. And then we come back and play on Tuesday off the road trip, which was a little surprising, but is what it is. That's the schedule we have. So we're just going to have to man up here a little bit and swing away. But our guys are capable, but we're going to have to change some things. We're going to have to get much more physical and much more aggressive on the defensive end. And we're going to have to get our ball movement where we get a little better shots out of our offense.
That's the post-game from Dana Altman, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. There are some stats in this game where you tell me that Oregon wins the turnover battle, holds Nebraska to 17% from the three-point line. You think Oregon wins a lot of those games. You heard Coach Altman also talk about it. You only shoot 40% from the field. You get out-rebounded. Their 2 top scorers combined for 51 points. That's when things start to go downhill and start to confound on each other. And even despite Oregon holding Nebraska to 17%, well, the Ducks shot 25%. Neither team shot it very well from deep yesterday night at Matthew Knight Arena. But in this Big Ten conference, you can stub your toe. Everybody has. It's a difficult conference to navigate through. You can stub your toe, you can't break your foot. And right now, Oregon is at a make-or-break point in conference play. The way that the Ducks sit in the Big Ten, Oregon at 5-6. The Ducks, you look up at Maryland sitting at 4th in the conference at 7-4. There's a few teams tied at 7-4. The Ducks are just 2 games off of that. You also look towards the bottom of the conference. Second to last is Minnesota at 3-8. The Ducks are 2 games off of that as well. It is a tightly packed conference, and as we've seen, teams can beat up on each other on any given night, and it really doesn't matter the opponent. But the opponent for Oregon coming up are 2 of the teams that are sitting at the top of that table. Michigan at 8-2, Michigan State at 9-1. Those games coming up on Wednesday and Saturday for Oregon, and they have not lost in the state of Michigan. Michigan State has not lost at home. Michigan has not lost at home this season. I almost liken this new Big Ten Michigan road trip to the same way that the mountain schools were so difficult to go to in the Pac-12 in years past, where it's a acclimation that you have to get accustomed to when you go to a Michigan and a Michigan State on both the men's and women's side of things. Women's basketball this weekend just beat Michigan State to hand them their first loss at the Breslin Center all year. Michigan only has 2 losses in women's basketball at home this season. Combined 3 losses in Michigan at their home court for Michigan and Michigan State this year. It's hard to go there and win. Oregon's going to have to right the ship. And the Ducks, on the women's side of things, well, they handed a Michigan team one of those losses on Thursday of last week. Couldn't make it 2. Ducks dropped the game to Michigan yesterday as well on the women's side of things, breaking that down after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
More Duck Insider from the Country Financial Studios after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle. Or forget extra diapers. You'd never lick your thumb to clean their face. Never, ever become a minivan mom. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, no, it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back here inside the Country Financial Studio, Ryan Milano with you on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union, breaking down what was a day of basketball that just didn't go the Ducks' way on Sunday, no doubt about it. Oregon women, they started off the day, and the Ducks playing against Michigan, as we just mentioned, a very tough place to win at Michigan, whether at Michigan State or against the Wolverines and Michigan themselves. The Ducks got to win against the ranked opponent in Michigan State earlier in the week. Michigan sitting just outside of that top 25. And the Wolverines, it was a similar game, I thought, both ways, from the early women's game to the late men's game, where Michigan jumped out to an early lead, but then all of a sudden, even though it's a double-digit advantage for the opponents, Oregon's starting to go on a run. And in that third quarter, it looked like Oregon was going on a run. The Ducks cut it to 12, had a layup by Nani Falatea to cut it to 10. Didn't fall, and then all of a sudden, 3, steal, transition layup, missed shot 3, and what could have been a 10-point game is now a 20-point game in the span of 40 seconds. And then all of a sudden, Michigan hits a half-court shot to end the third quarter, and you're thinking, this was a ball game. I was just watching a ball game, and all of a sudden it's a 25-point game, and Oregon, they could not reel it back in on the women's basketball side of things and dropped 80-48 that game against Michigan yesterday. I think you take the road trip in totality, going on the road with two teams that had combined 2 home losses all year long, you take a split. I think you take a split. But, of course, the 32-point loss to end the road trip is not the way that you want to cap things off. Kelly Graves, he made the trip up to talk to Chris Clayton on the broadcast after the game, recapping what was an 80-48 loss for Oregon women's basketball.
Kelly Graves has made his way up. He's popped on the headset for us. Coach, thanks for coming up. We appreciate it. What do you think was the difference in this one?
Well, we played tired, number one. You could tell we didn't play with the same kind of intensity, enthusiasm that – that we did the other night and that we need to when we're on the road. I credit Michigan. They again, these stairs.
Stairs, the Big Ten stairs.
I credit Michigan. They were aggressive. They were hungry. I mean, they would be, for all intents and purposes, out of any kind of race had they not won this game, dropped 2 in a row, and they played like they were desperate. And you could tell we didn't match that same kind of intensity right from the start. This happens. It happens to every team. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's what happened tonight. When they hit that shot at the end of the third quarter, it's just one of those nights. And, I was telling the team it happens to every team from time to time, and tonight was our time. We've been tough enough mentally and physically to get ourselves out of holes in the past, and we just didn't have it tonight. And, I think for the first time that it seemed like the road kind of got us a little bit weary. But, yeah, there were some positives out of it. Not many, but there were some. I thought Katie Fiso came in, did a great job.
Yeah.
I kind of got on our senior leadership. I didn't think they had us ready to play, and then I don't think they produced either. And so we went, with the freshmen in that second half. Well, and Katie a lot in the first half as well. She's the real thing. She can really play. And I'll tell you what, it's just one game. I'm not going to overreact, but I got to do a better job of finding some time for her, And, it's funny. Same thing the other night. He comes in, does a great job. And then tonight she just didn't have what she had, the other day. So, sometimes with freshmen, they get a little bit inconsistent. But, listen, I told the team in the locker room after, I said, we just got to get back to neutral. We forget about this. As coaches, we'll dissect it and try and figure out what we did wrong and what we can do better. And then they themselves need to really self-reflect and what could they have done better, and then they just got to flush it, because guess what? We go home and we play Maryland and UCLA, 2 top 10 teams. So we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We can't get down. We've got to, like I said, get back to neutral as quick as we can.
You talked a lot about the 5-guard system Michigan runs and the individual talent they have off the dribble. How do you think you fared against their ball handlers?
Well, it was 80-48.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chris? I mean, we were disadvantaged, and it hurt us on the very first possession. Number 11, Camp Schroeder, she's really the only one we felt in the starting lineup that Philly could guard. And she set a little back screen, stepped out. Philly's late, because she's not used to playing out there. And boom, they knocked the 3 down right to start the game. And that's just kind of went from there. If we can't take advantage of our size on the offensive end, sometimes it can hurt us at the defensive end with all these teams that love guard lineups. And unfortunately, our post players don't play strong enough to where, we make the other team pay. And that's too bad. That's disappointing. I think put the work in. They put the work in, and it's just it wasn't working tonight. So, it's a tough one. It's going to make the trip longer going home. But if you would have told me before the season that we're going to come back and get a split on this Michigan trip, I'd have probably taken it and said, heck yeah, because these are 2 really good teams. And we can't forget that we did go home with a split, and we beat, a top-ranked team the other night. And maybe we were still reliving that game and forgot that we had another one today. I don't know what what it is. But we hopefully can come back home or go back home and be ready for a good Maryland team this next week.
Yeah, some fun opportunities ahead at home. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Okay, bud.
I really like what Kelly Graves said there, and I think this reigns true for both the men's and the women's team. Get back to neutral. This conference, and I know I've said this all year, but it reigns true. This conference on both the men's and women's side are going to send double-digit teams to the tournament. You're not going to win every game in conference, and you're going to lose even a few in a row. Steady the ship. Get back to neutral. The next game is the most important, and, well, for both of these teams on the men's and women's side, the next opponents are difficult. The home series coming up for Oregon on the women's side of things, going up against Maryland, a team that just dipped below the top 10, still a top 25 team coming into Matthew Knight Arena, and a UCLA team coming up next weekend that has not lost on the season. They are 21-0 on the year. They're the number 1 team in the country. It's going to take resilient efforts to continue Oregon's strong home record this season. The Ducks are trying to continue to advance that 13-1 home record, and the Ducks are going to have to do it against difficult opponents. On the men's side, got to get back to neutral because you go back on the road. 4 out of 5 road games. This is the close of that stretch. You go against 2 teams that have not lost in their building. Get back to neutral. show some resiliency. That's what's going to be really key for Oregon coming down the stretch. It's going to be very important for the Ducks as we move forward throughout this basketball season. And the Ducks, on the women's side of things, they're right in the thick of things in the Big Ten. Oregon, they're at 7-4 in conference. They're tied with Illinois. They're tied with Nebraska. And, oh, look, they're tied with Maryland, Oregon's next opponent. And if the Ducks can get up, right now tied for 5th, get up to that 4 line, that's where you want to be in the Big Ten tournament because that is where you get the bye. It's a tough stretch coming up for Oregon. Weather the storm. Get back to neutral. Showcase the resiliency. That's what's up for Oregon women's basketball. Getting the timeout, whole lot of other spring sports getting into action, breaking down the Ducks that are currently out on the course and the Ducks that were in action all weekend long. A few teams were out playing, matching, running. We'll get to it when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. And that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Based on manufacturer's websites as of 10/20/24.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. And that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Based on manufacturer's websites as of 10/20/24.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
August was born 3 pounds, 9.8 ounces. When I first saw him, it was a whole range of emotions. There's stuff I still want to do. Being a young dad, it's not giving up. It's shifting. I looked through his eyes. I can envision a whole future with him already. To throw the first football to him, give him ice cream for the first time. My life is now devoted to his life.
Through all of fatherhood's firsts, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Back here on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union inside the Country Financial Studio. Ryan Milano breaking down what was a weekend in Oregon athletics and one that's still continuing for the women's golf team as they're in action at the Therese Hessian Regional Challenge at Palos Verdes Golf Club. Oregon, strong start to round one on Sunday. Freshman Tong On paced the Oregon Pack with a 3 under 68 in the opening round on Sunday. Kiara Romero, she had 6 birdies in the opening round and had a 1 under performance of her own on Sunday. Entering into play today, the Ducks were sitting in 3rd place, just behind South Carolina and USC. By the way, 2 top 5 teams in the country. Oregon enters into this spring season as the 6th ranked team in the country. It's a stacked field. Oregon holding their own. They led the pack in birdies on par 5, or rather they scored the best on par 5s in round 1 and tied for the team lead in birdies with 19 with South Carolina through the first round of play. The way the standings shook up headed into today, South Carolina and USC at 2 under, Oregon at 1 under, Florida behind at even par, and then a few other teams over par. The Ducks individually, Tong On at 3 under, Kiara Romero at 1 under, both of them inside the top 10 as they entered play today. Suvachaya Vinachaitham at 1 over, Tiffany Wong at 2 over and Karen Suru at 5 over. That was entering play today. Now Oregon, they have dropped back to 4th place, but the top 4 teams have separated themselves from the pack. 4-stroke difference between Oregon in 4th and Pepperdine in 5th, as the Ducks have Tong On in 3rd place overall, and Kiara Romero working her way up the leaderboard, has already birdied today, sitting at 1 under through 5 holes for her. She is 6th on the leaderboard. So Oregon with a few individuals in striking distance and as a team in striking distance as they'll continue to move forward through the Therese Hession Challenge. We'll update you over the coming days on Duck Insider of how Oregon fares in their opening spring round of golf against a really tough field. On the women's tennis side of things, Oregon dropped their first women's tennis match of the weekend against Texas Tech, but Texas Tech is a top 25 team. Texas Tech is a team that just took down a top 10 opponent last weekend, and it's an Oregon team that took them all the way to the brink. Oregon fell down into an 0-3 hole and then tied it back up at 3-3 with just one match to play. The Ducks did end up dropping that final match in the final set, but Oregon went toe-to-toe with Texas Tech. Courtney Nagel, she said, we're right there with plenty of room to grow. Our hunger to improve every week is stronger than ever, and it was invaluable for our young Ducks to experience a 3-3 match in such an electric environment at the Student Tennis Center. Oregon women's tennis, strong play to start the season as they're now at 5-1, with this being a really quality loss, if you can call it that. Men's tennis, they had a doubleheader on Saturday, swept it. Defeated Portland State 7-0 and BYU 6-1 at the Student Tennis Center. It improves the men to 3-2 on the season, but the men are now 3-0 at home this year, and they will be at home for the foreseeable future. The next 5 matches are at the Student Tennis Center. 7 straight home matches in a row, including this doubleheader. February 7th, 9th, 14th, and then a doubleheader closes it on the 16th. If you're not at the Student Tennis Center, I don't know why. You should be there. They're playing some electric tennis both on the men's and the women's side. And then the Ducks on the track, on the road in Fayetteville at the Razorback Invitational. 8 top 10 indoor program performances for the Oregon indoor track and field team, and 5 men went under 4 minutes in the mile. Simeon Birnbaum was 4th in Oregon history with a 3:52.81. Thomas Palfrey was 6th in Oregon history with a 3:54.47. Tayson Echohawk with a 3:58.77. Benjamin Balaz with a 3:58.94. And Jeffrey Rogers with a 3:59.69. All of them, all 5 of them, under 4 minutes in the mile. And Jaden Mays, you should know her name. She's been around for a while. She's been fast for a really long time. She took home a victory in the 60-meter, clocking a season-best 7.20 in Saturday's final. A lot of sports in action for Oregon. A lot of success in those sports for Oregon. A team that doesn't start this weekend, the weekend after, Oregon baseball. They just got tabbed to pick to win the Big Ten by D1 baseball. And we're going to get familiar with one of the returning offensive hitters in the lineup for the Ducks when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Uh-oh.
So, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano with you, but a few weeks ago, about a week and a half ago at this point, one of Oregon baseball's returners, Jeffrey Hurd, was in studio getting everybody ready for a February 14th first pitch. Yes, 3:05, February 14th against Toledo. I like to see everybody out at PK Park, and I know I will see Jeffrey Hurd out at PK Park after a strong first year with the Ducks, the transfer in from Sacramento State, now in his second season with the program. Let's get caught up with the returning outfielder. Jeffrey Hurd with us here in studio. Jeff, first off, just thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you in here. Have any of your teammates given you a little bit of a heads up about what we do here in studio? Carter, Mason, have they talked to you?
No, not yet.
Good. We like you surprised.
Blind, yeah.
We like you surprised. We have a little bit of a tradition here in studio. First time in, everybody has to give their 2-minute life story.
Okay.
As close to 2 minutes as possible. You can go over, you can go under, but we're trying to hit 2 minutes on the dot. The life story of Jeffrey Hurd. You can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, yeah. So, grew up San Jose, California, born and raised. Playing baseball my whole life. Started playing when I was 3 years old, playing with like 5, 6-year-old. My dad put me in it at a super early age. Played that, football, basketball growing up, and then high school was kind of when I started getting serious about baseball. Not too many looks out of high school. Ended up going to Sacramento State for 2 years and then transferred up here and been having a blast ever since. And last season went pretty well. Looking to do a little bit more this year, but doing that leading up to this year kind of brings me right here where I am right now. So, well.
35 seconds. You've got time if you want it. You've got time to fill out the life story. What about away from baseball? Who's Jeffrey Hurd as a family man, as a person? What's family like for you?
It's me, my mom, and my brother. Those are my two best friends on this planet for sure. Talk to them every single day. Whenever I'm home, we don't really go out and do a lot of stuff. We kind of just hang out with each other, watch TV, movies, kind of just laugh, joke around. We kind of say we have a fun household or whatever. So enjoy that. And then my uncle's around a lot too. One of my biggest supporters in my life for sure. And yeah, it's kind of just really us three. But my little brother, he plays baseball too. He's down at Chabot Junior College right now, and then he's trying to go to a bigger school after that for sure. But he's my best friend. Whenever I'm home, we do all our workouts and stuff together, and we kind of just been grinding since we were kids together on this baseball journey.
That's awesome. I want to talk about your journey to Oregon. Was it difficult for you getting away from the Bay a little bit because you grew up at the Bay, went to Sacramento State? Was it difficult for you coming up here?
I wouldn't say too difficult. I'd been here. We took a super random trip during COVID up to Seattle, so we flew up there, and then we drove all the way down the coast back home, and then we visited UW, Oregon, not like college visits, just all the campuses and all that. And I mean, I loved it ever since then, but I never thought I'd be going to school here. So when I committed, I completely forgot about that trip, and then my mom called me and sent me all the pictures when we were up here, and she was like, "Oh, I can't believe you get to go to school here now." So that was super cool. But the process getting here was an interesting one out of the portal. Committed super late, at the end of July. I was out in Maryland playing summer ball. And then I had a whole bunch of different looks from schools that I never thought I'd get to talk to just because of how where I came from out of high school, having no looks or nothing like that. So Oregon ultimately stood out to me. I mean, Marta did a great job recruiting, and I decided to become a Duck.
Talk to me about the recruiting journey, the relationships with the coaches. We hear a lot about Jack Martyr. What is it about Jack Martyr as a hitting coach and then also as a recruiter that makes you want to come to Oregon?
He's an interesting recruiter for sure. He's different than the rest. He's almost a salesman, I'd say, for sure. Kind of sells you on Oregon and kind of makes you feel maybe not a little dumb, but a little like what are you doing if you don't decide to come here? So he makes it like Oregon almost is the obvious choice for you. And, I mean, from that, you're like, I don't really know what else I'd want to do but go play for this guy. Like, everybody, he'll connect you with players and stuff, too, and everybody you talk to says, like, he's the best hitting coach out there around. And you're like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to be surrounded by the best to get you where you want to be. So that's kind of what did it for me.
Talk to me as well about Coach Waz. He spends a lot of time with the outfielders. Yeah. Who is Waz behind the scenes a little bit? Talk to fans about what's Waz like as much as you can.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
He's an interesting guy for sure. Great guy for sure. He's a little bit wild at times. Has us doing a lot of crazy stuff out for practices, something that no one else in the country is doing. And he's got, fun fact, the best fungo that you'll ever see. Like, he'll point out a panel on the foul pole and like absolutely nail it on the first swing. And so he'll have us jumping on outfield walls every practice and like practice like climbing over, robbing balls off like the foul side and then homers and stuff like that too. So. Yeah, he could be a lot at times, but I mean he's a great dude with great intentions, and I mean if you watch him like how his mind works throughout coaching a game, like it's like no other for sure.
Well, and stuff like that makes it more fun. You're jumping over walls, you're running through walls.
Yeah.
That makes it more fun to play outfield.
A lot fun for sure. Yeah, it's a lot more fun than just sitting out there catching fly balls off a machine. I'll tell you that.
I want to jump into your year last year and your season with Oregon. Just what memories stick out from you from last season and your first year with the Ducks?
So my first memory of my own like personal story would be I guess ASU. The homer in the ninth inning was probably my favorite moment. But I mean, obviously the super regional and sweeping at the SB regional, like those are experiences that I'll never forget. And those are easily like the two biggest memories from last year. But I mean, you got a whole bunch of stuff with just like playing Mafia on the bus with the team and everything like that, and just like hotel dinners and all that kind of stuff. So there's a whole lot of just brotherhood that's built throughout that time too that people don't really get to hear about or see. So
I'm glad the Arizona State home run was what you picked because it's what I would have picked too.
Yeah.
First off, on your birthday, that's got to be
right,
huge
yeah.
to have that type of moment on your birthday. Second off, it was such a pivotal game in the course of the season. Early conference play, need it to salvage the series. Just in that moment, everything that goes along with it, what was going through your mind when you step up to the plate, and what's going through your mind after the ball leaves the bat and you see it clear the wall?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were down by one, top of the ninth, like you said, and then there was a guy on second. And then after the first pitch, it was a wild pitch. He got to third. So then at that moment, my mind was just get the ball in the air, get him in, let's tie the game. And then fortunately, I got a fastball up and out from a lefty, and then got a pretty good barrel on it. And I hit it, and that was my first ever backside homer. Never see the ball leave over left field before. So I didn't know it was gonna go out. I was a little bit surprised, but it was probably one of the best surprises I've had for sure. And then at that point, I was just going crazy around the bases, like just super sad. Like you said, it was on my birthday too, so I was already just happy from getting lunch with my mom before the game and stuff like that. So one of if not the best days of my life.
It was a big home run.
Yeah.
You've had a few big home runs. You talked about summer ball from the 2023 season. We have a clip of a home run that you hit, which, Caden, can you run the clip? This is one of the most impressive bat flips I think I've ever seen. Take me into this moment, and then take me into how high this bat goes. It's out of the screen, Jeff.
Yeah.
Just take me into this moment. What was going through your head?
Wow. So similar situation, like the Arizona one, playoff game, summer ball. The guy in front of me rolls one over to third baseman throws it away. It's supposed to be the last out of the game. He ends up getting to second. Now I'm thinking just get the next guy up, and then I end up in a 2-0 count. And I don't know if you heard the announcer say, but like 2-0, like for some reason, like I was just on it all summer in 2-0 counts. And I hit that. I got, I guess, a little amped up for it. Flipped the bat way higher than I thought I was going to. Like you said, left the screen. They told me like it was over like certain numbers, so it was like 60 feet in the air. So like my like little claim to fame is I have the highest bat flip in the history of baseball, and
that might be true.
Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah, but no, like I said, it's just moments like that I just live for. It's just a lot of fun to be able to come in clutch like that, and getting hyped with your teammates is the best part after. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, the mob after that whole thing at the plate or whatever, but, yeah, that's the best part, is celebrating with the boys.
So what we should be looking for is Jeffrey Hurd in 2-0 counts and Jeffrey Hurd in the 9th inning when there's a guy on base, because, it's starting to become a little bit of a theme here, Jeff.
Hopefully I keep it going for sure, yeah. But
let's talk about this offseason. That was the offseason prior to when you came to Oregon.
Right.
This offseason, what have you been doing to keep up your game? What have you been doing throughout this offseason to prepare for the season?
Yeah, this one was a lot different than all the other ones for sure. My first 3 years spent going away playing summer ball, and then this year was the first year I just stayed home, and it was a little therapeutic for me just getting to spend time with my family like I was talking about, and my body needed it too. I was recovering from a little banged up stuff at the end of the season, so took the first, some time off just to, kind of be with myself, be with my family, and then started grinding again, building back up into it. And then came back in the fall. We all had a good fall. Our team looks real good this year. And then winter, doing everything we do in the winter. They sent us a whole, calendar and packing and whatnot, so just following that and getting ready for what we got coming in 5 weeks.
Coming into this season healthy, it's got to be huge. Got to keep it going. Still about a month out from season, but coming into this season, it's got to feel good. Staying healthy.
Yeah, stayed healthy the whole fall. Exit meetings, they asked me, what's your biggest goal for the season? I told them, I just want to stay healthy. I just want to be able to do what I can, help the team on the field. If it's off the field, help the team off the field. But I think being healthy is going to be at the forefront of my priorities for sure.
Talk about the season coming up. Just the goals for yourself, the team. What are the goals once season hits, starting on Valentine's Day? What are going to be the goals for the season for you?
I mean, the goal is obviously to go out there and win every game that we can. I think we got a great group of guys coming in this year. We're turning most of, if not all of, our starting lineup from last year, and just everybody having another 365 days of development under their belt is absolutely huge for us. We got some big-time arms coming in, both in our freshman class and some guys that we portaled into, and then some guys that we already had coming back off of injuries and stuff like that. So I think we should be able to make a good run at this thing this year, hopefully get over that super regional hump that we've kind of hit the last 2 years, but I think this could be the squad to do it for sure.
I would absolutely love that. I'm on board with you. And before we let you go, Jeffrey Hurd, the people want to know, is the pencil bat making a return? Because it was a big revelation last year.
Yeah.
Have we even decided yet?
We have not decided yet, no. The pencil bat, it's an interesting one for sure. The bat kind of superseded me at some point. I was pencil bat, and I was not Jeffrey Hurd anymore. So it might come back. We'll see.
Do you like the pencil bat persona? Did you like it superseding you, or do you need to be Jeffrey Hurd?
I don't need to be Jeffrey. I can be pencil bat. That'll be okay with me. Yeah. It's whatever we're feeling for that game. I guess we'll see. So it'll probably come out a time or two.
Well, I absolutely love it. Jeffrey Hurd in studio. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck this season.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Jeffrey Hurd in studio. We are less than 2 weeks away from first pitch, February 14th at PK Park against Toledo. By the way, Jeffrey Hurd, by perfect game, he was tabbed the 7th best returning senior in the country. High-level ball we played at PK Park. Oregon's first 13 games this season are at PK Park for the better part of February and for the rest of spring. Spring sports are getting started. It's not just baseball. A lot more coming by the end of the week. Touching on it when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Put your phone on D&D. That means the do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means the do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, Honey Bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Closing out Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union here in the Country Financial Studio, as the Ducks are off to a hot start, depending on whatever sport you're looking at in the spring season. You had the start of tennis season a few weeks ago, and now golf creeping into the mix. And, well, by the end of the week, not only is women's golf going to be in action, but men's golf is going to be in action as they take on their first spring challenge at the Amorari Intercollegiate in Hawaii. That's starting over this upcoming weekend on Friday. Also on Friday, lacrosse will start their season at Pape Field. Jess Drummond's squad will open up against Butler on Friday at 5 p.m., at Pape Field. You can also watch it streamed on Big Ten Plus. Softball getting started on Friday in the UNLV Desert Classic. 5 games going on for the Oregon softball team from Friday to Sunday. It starts with a Friday doubleheader, starting the day at 10 a.m. against Buffalo to kick off the season, and Southern Utah at 12:30. All of those starting by the end of the week, not to mention beach season coming up, acro season coming up. We just heard from Jeffrey Hurd, baseball season coming up. Also, over last weekend, some Ducks at the Senior Bowl. Josh Connerly, top lineman on the national team. Jeff Bassa, top linebacker on the national team. It's great. Missy Lombardi, she'll be in studio tomorrow. So will Val Johnson. Go Ducks.
Ma, is this how you feed a hamster?
I think so.
Is my homework right?
I think so.
Is this milk still good?
I think so.
When it comes to parenting, sometimes it's okay to think you know. But when it's something as important as your child's car seat, don't just think. Know. Double check if your child is in the right seat for their age and size. It'll help protect them in a car crash.